Hi. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a job description based coaching for the role of DevOps engineer. As we already know, when we are working on application development, especially nowadays, because earlier there used to be two different platforms. One is about the development platform and second is an operations platform. Means implementation of the project will be done. Followed by this, whatever the deployment we do and all everything will happen next. That's how earlier was. But nowadays, if you see in the field of application development, nowadays we are working on DevOps environment. DevOps environment where both development and operations will be on the same platform. Because nowadays you see there are a lot of volatility in requirements were taken place, right? So a lot of changes happens in the requirements. So when there are any changes in requirements taken place, planning the requirements, followed by the requirements analysis design, followed by implementation and testing, doing multiple times is something challenging for any organization. Especially it increases the maintenance cost, operational burden for the development team. In regard to that, nowadays we are following DevOps practices or a DevOps environment. So in this DevOps environment, the major focus is on CI/CD. That is where generally we call it as continuous integration and deployment and delivery. This is where generally CI/CD concept will be of. So we are creating a pipeline. So when we are creating a pipeline, I am explaining the high level understanding first. Okay. So from the context of DevOps, creating a pipeline for continuous integration and development and deployment and delivery, so that if there are any changes was made for us and all everything can be done subsequently. That's where generally the concept means if there are any new changes or new requirements were added, so that we can add on to the existing one and we can move on further. There is a continuous pipeline where we are creating. Even the projects and as well as the applications were so complex, so that we don't see any difficulty in this regard. So by keeping that view in mind, nowadays in the field of IT, we are using DevOps. That's what generally we call it as environment in short. So in the field of application development, we require a lot of opportunities from the technical point of view, where we see most of the roles called DevOps engineers. DevOps engineer means person who is having operations experience prior to the development experience, deployment experience. So DevOps engineers are required. These DevOps engineers deploy the application either in different cloud environments, either it can be AWS or it can be Azure, it can be Google Cloud Platform, right? It can be IBM Cloud, right? So different cloud services we use and we do the deployments accordingly. So this is what the overall context from the context of DevOps engineering all about. Now, people who are applying for job opportunities from the DevOps side, the first of all, we need to understand what are the major responsibilities we need to mention. And before I'm going to explain this, please do remember whatever extent possible I want to cover, I have covered it. But there are some other more requirements might also be there, maybe functional or technical skills. Depends on the job profile, expertise, industry, it varies. Okay. So the maximum points I'm covering over here. And this is intended for the people who are applying for job opportunities. Most of the people, as I do this career transformation consulting as well as coaching to the people, what I understood, there is a line of gap which people have identified due to ignorance. How to present their resume is where something they are facing difficulty, and whatever there in the CV and how this can be presented in interviews. This is where most of the people are facing difficulty when they're applying for job opportunities. In this regard, this video is making because of this reason. Now, when it comes to the responsibilities of a DevOps engineer, the first one, being a DevOps engineer, we should able in a position to build and setting up new application development at the same time infrastructure for the project. So if you want to build an infrastructure, either it can be AWS. For example, two cloud services we have, right? Either it can be AWS or it can be Azure, right? So either using the cloud service provider for AWS or Azure, either we can develop infrastructure as a service, we can hire services of infrastructure. At the same time, we can choose platform as a service or a software as a service. So building and setting up new development in infrastructure is what something being a DevOps engineer, we should be experienced with. Second, we have to be involved in developing CI/CD pipelines and CI/CD continuous integration, deployment and delivery process, which we should understand, followed by the container orchestrations and securities, all that, because application security will be the highest priority for any of the applications, especially when we are dealing with any finance, banking, healthcare applications and all. Security will be the highest priority, including insurance, or else it can be retailing, supply chain, right? So all that domains. So this is where generally orchestration and security comes into picture. Along with this, being a DevOps engineer, we need to design and build and maintaining CI/CD pipelines for applications and all. So for that, there are different tools nowadays we are using. One of the tool called Azure DevOps, right? So this is also one of the tool which normally we are using. So using this Azure DevOps tool, what we can do, we can create some CI/CD pipelines for the application. So the development team doesn't feel any difficulty in changes, any requirements taken place can be managed by them effectively. Next, maintaining scalability, because maintaining the scalability for the application, so that any new developments happens in future, this application shouldn't find any difficulty in scalable point of view. That also we need to be taken care of. At the same time, monitoring the performance, because performance of the application, load balancing, fault tolerancing, these are the non-functional things which being a DevOps engineer, one must be good with. Next, we need to manage and configure the application, followed by troubleshooting, etc. And one of the most important activity being a DevOps engineer is to create a disaster recovery plan, because if there is any kind of data or uh, server lost or was down, right? So how to recover the data, right? So what kind of disaster recovery plan is required? So that plan is what something which being a DevOps engineer, one must be good with. So these are the responsibilities on a high level note. Of course, there could be some other more apart, because in the beginning itself, I told you, depends on the experience, depends on the industry, all that. There may be some other more responsibilities will be added on. But on a high level note, whatever the points, common points are required when we are presenting ourselves, that points I mentioned in this. I hope you understood. I think it is clear. Now, when it comes to the functional knowledge, you need to have an understanding about cross-functional teams. Because most of the times nowadays, as far as stakeholder engagement is concerned, cross-functional teams and understanding cross-functional teams is something which is essentially required. At the same time, we need to have a complete understanding of our business continuity workflows. At the same time, to understand the problem, one of the analysis which we usually do is called root cause analysis. Root cause analysis, where the problem was laid upon. So based on that, how this problem can be rectified, right? So unless until if you have not understood the root cause analysis, providing a permanent solution for a problem will be difficult. So these are all I can say the functional skills more or less, especially for DevOps people. Next, technical skills, root cause analysis and all. After the technical skills and all, when it comes to the technical skills, nowadays, DevOps engineers, either you may be experienced in AWS or it can be Azure. So because some people require people having experience in AWS side, and some people may be for Azure side. So understanding about AWS and Azure from the infrastructure point of view, because infrastructure development is what something which normally we do. At the same time, creating some DevOps platform where platform as a services are being used. For the development services and all, we use software as a service. These are the three different services will be there in the cloud environment. So when it comes to the technical skills, we need to have a detailed understanding about how the cloud-based infrastructure works. At the same time, how this AWS Azure works and all that. At the same time, Google Cloud Platform. These are the complete technical skills which being a DevOps engineer, we must be good with. Next, we need to understand network security protocols and the procedures as well. Next, when it comes to the implementation of DevOps, this is something to do with tools. There are different tools like Docker container. Jenkins is used for integration purpose. Kubernetes is the one which is used to deploy multiple applications on a single platform by creating some virtual machines, etc., on a single physical system. This is where Kubernetes, Ansible, Nago is, right? So GitHub is majorly used for the code repository management. So these are the tools required. So DevOps, learning DevOps is even connected with Docker, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Ansible, Nagois, GitHub, etc. This is also one of the technical skill, few of the technical skills we must be good with. Next, having knowledge over the Java full stack development or Python, because this all something comes with programming part when we want to write a business logic for any of the application. This is required. Next, deployment lifecycle, because DevOps majorly focusing on deployment, how you are integrating and deployment and delivery. This so deployment lifecycle understanding is required for us. Next, having a knowledge over Azure DevOps, because Azure DevOps is one of the tool which is used to create CI/CD pipelines so that the continuous integration and deployment delivery process will be happen continuously without having any difficulty in between, even though volatility requirements taken place. So these are the technical skills. Being a DevOps engineer, one must be good with. Next, key skills. These are all the different key skills, like continuous integration is one of the key skill you require. Next, what are the tools I have mentioned already, repeating the same like Kubernetes, Docker, all that. Next, understanding about CI/CD pipeline, Azure or AWS cloud. One of the important key skill you must be good with when you are applying for opportunities to have a knowledge over reliability engineering. So reliability engineering is also one of the key skill set. Being a DevOps engineer, we must be good with. Now, when it comes to the focused areas, when we are applying for opportunities, normally roles are DevOps engineer roles will be there in the industry. Industry means IT services, either it can be service industry or product or consulting companies, industries. And from the departments and all, most of the job opportunities lies on software and information security side, at the same time in engineering side as well. And the kind of role category, when you see from the context of DevOps engineer role, it's in the category of DevOps or IT infrastructure, because infrastructure, managing the infrastructure for any application by managing network securities are the highest important points nowadays we have to be focused more on. So this is also one of the key and important element we have to be focused. So these are the key skill sets. These are the focused areas followed by technical, functional, and responsibilities, which being a DevOps engineer, when you are applying for job opportunities, you must be good with. So this is all about this video, and this is what generally the complete understanding on a high level note for the job description based coaching in context to the DevOps engineering is all about. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, if you have any coaching needs in regard to this, please reach out to the contact details, which will be posted in below to this video. Thank you.